Hey everybody, we are starting this wicked late. Oh god, it is way too late. Oh, look, I don't even have time to talk about how much this peachy, corally, orangey, it's more orange than anything. How this hurts your eyeballs on this color of background. I don't have time to talk about that. I would riff a whole riff. There'd be a font riff. What is this font? I mean, this is very graphy, but this font, not very graphy. This font is more swirly woos and curly cues. That doesn't go with graphs. It's not mathematical. Come on. And this color, this is have you ever seen a graphing calculator make this color? No, you have not. I would have a whole thing about that, but I don't have time for a whole thing about that. I don't. Look, I mean, hey, look, even if we're allowing for the times when people created maps for their D&D campaigns on graph paper, there has been no usage of graph paper in which this color made any appearance. I mean, come on. There are no swamps that color. Magma would be more brightly orange with black speckles in it. I mean, we know the tropes of the genre. Come on. Who you think you're talking to? Anyway, look, I would have a whole riff about that, but I don't have time. Look, this is Weekend Type Fun, Volume 15, and we have to say it. We have to say it in the voice. I don't have time to argue with myself and be all hey, say it in the voice. I don't want to say it in the voice. Say it in the voice. Oh, I don't want to. I'm doing a different voice just to get in your freaking grill about it. And then you're oh, hey, no, stop. I don't like that. You're being a jerk. I'm paying you scale and whatnot. Remember when I talked about paying you scale even though you're not a member of the guild? And then I was yeah, that's it, totally. I'm paying you. And then I talked about how you're just one of many white people in this room. And we got so many white people in this room. We've got Ian is lurking over there. I see you. Yeah, we got Braxton, head writer over there. Hope this is a good one, Braxton. What, 87 slides? Are you freaking it? Do you see what time it is right now? I don't have time. Look, did I show the infinite regression on this show yet? Look, it's the infinite regression. I don't know if I've shown that before. Because I don't have time, Braxton. You give me 87 slides. 87, my God. And Chaz over here, you got to rein him in. We've got a show to run, and we got to run it on time. You don't think I have other engagements? Look, we're all white here, so I can tell you about my tea times at Exclusive. And I think you know what I mean when I say exclusive country clubs to which I belong. Me and all the Republicans in Congress. All of them. Every single... Mitch McConnell has 2 memberships. 2. Lindsey Graham got 3. Just, he loved the idea of how exclusive this club was. He was oh, hi, I'm Lindsey Graham, and I talk like a Southern gentleman who has a little bit of a, well, let's just say not a preference for the ladies, if you know what I mean. A preference for hobnobbing with other fellas. Maybe I hob some knobs. Look, we're not getting into any allegations of such nots and what you mays. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to play golf. We're here to clean some balls. Now, I love using the ball cleaner. I love just pumping it up and down and just cleaning out those balls. Just telling you, love it, because I'm Lindsey Graham. Look, okay, I would have had a time to do every little impression that involved, but I don't. I don't have time to do that right now. Like, do you see how I like, ugh. I don't have time to talk about all those white people in here. I don't have time for that. I can't talk about them or their exclusive country clubs. Don't have time. Don't have time to make implications. Don't have time to make implications about their exclusive country clubs. Don't have time to make implications about the fact that they support abortions for their mistresses, but not for, other Americans at all. I don't have time to dissect their hypocrisy because we got to get the show started. We got to do the voice. And I don't have time to yell at you about minutia like I did an example showing you what I'm not going to do because I don't have time for it. I don't have time for that. You have to do the weekend type fun voice and not be all like, oh, but I am saying it to you in a very generic foreigner type voice. We don't have time for generic foreigner type voice. We don't have time for your bad Swedish chef impression. I know. Look, it's impressive to me that someone who has like a half decent impression or two would have such a terrible Swedish chef. Like that's incredible in and of itself. But we don't have the freaking time. Would you please, for the love of God? And I'm not kidding here. Look, I'm going to tell you how you can know whether or not I'm kidding, okay? I need you to look into my eyes, okay? Look, if I was kidding, you would not see the desperate, pleading nature lurking just beneath my eyeballs, which so clearly, desperately wants you to do exactly what I'm asking you to do, and it's not like tongue-in-cheeking this and going to be like, oh, I gotcha in just a second if you actually do it, but will actually freaking be really, actually, and truly relieved if you go ahead and say it in the voice that you need to say it in, because we don't have the kind of time that it would take for me to explain how to tell the difference between when I'm joking and when I'm joking, I will wink. Let's just say that. Let's just put that out there. Let's just get that on the table. Because maybe you need to know. But I don't have time to explain to you about the winking because I need you to just say the voice. So let's just do this. Let's have it be done. This is Weekend Type Fun Volume 15. We got to get it off the ground. We cannot procrastinate anymore. We cannot draw this out any longer than we have already done. That would be unnecessary. That would be unkind to this audience who has paid no money, but if enough of them subscribe and click and comment and blah, 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 then maybe we could monetize this or something, which we won't do. We won't do, because guess why? Not because we wouldn't monetize it. Oh, we worked hard on this. It's stupid how hard we worked on this, despite the fact that we received no compensation for this whatsoever, other than the one time that we watch it, which is tomorrow morning after we wake up, which is technically not tomorrow morning at all, but later today, because we are doing this so very late and we don't have the time. So please, good sir, if you could, for the love of God, just say the thing in the voice that you have done 14 times. 14 times already you've done this voice. This is the 15th time. My God, if this were, a child, it would be 15 weeks old. That's old enough to not be allowed to legally abort in Canada. I mean, come on. Come on. How many times am I going to have to ask you? Look, I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to plead. You know what? I can see that that's what you want. Okay, I will beg. I will plead. Please, kind sir, will you do the voice? Yeah, I'm doing my best. 19th century bootblack who is pleading with some sort of authority figure, wanting to get some sort of small type favour, which will drastically improve the quality of his life. 'Twould be a very slight thing for the gentleman to do, and yet it will make my life immeasurably better. So won't you do it, Governor? I'm saying it in the special voice. I am. So would you please do me the favour, Governor, of saying it in Weekend Type Fun, Volume 15. Oh, thank God. He finally said it. Get him out of here. All right. Hey, people. Hey now. Hey, have you been welcomed? Did we welcome you? Have we welcomed these people? Did you welcome them? Chaz, did we have some sort of welcoming committee? Do we at least have interns showing them where to go and saying, welcome to Weekend Type Fun, the very popular show that people on the internet are buzzing about? There's a buzz. It's been a slight buzz. There's been a riffling of a buzz. There's been a breeze of a buzz. There's been just when you're looking at a flagpole and you're like, oh man, that flag is not moving at all, and then you just see the tiniest hint of movement, and you were like, was that the wind, or did some small insect fly very close to the flag, causing the slightest, most tiny ripple of a buzz about this show? Anyway, Weekend Type Fun Volume 15. Let's do it. Let's do it to it. I just pushed the button. I'm pushing buttons. It's not advancing slides. Well, we're done. That broken. Just kidding. I just need to click on the first one. Hey, this week's episode. Fun with charts and graphs. Oh, this ought to be good. I think, obviously, Braxton, I'm looking at you this is what the committee chose for a background for this week. Yeah, we have a committee that chooses the backgrounds. We try and do a different one every week. Anyway, this week's episode, Fun with Charts and Graphs, they must just seen this, and then you were like, that looks like a graph. I see where your brain went. So, obviously, can I not bring up Dimitri Martin right now? Can I not? Can I do this and not immediately think of him? Is that what we're doing? Is that okay, Braxton? Well, oh yeah, he stole your act. Okay, all right, and that's how you got to be head writer of this show. Right. That is a believable story, Braxton. We all believe you on that one. Okay. Beverage. Enjoy these charts and or graphs. Or don't. I don't want to be one of those guys who is challenging the form, is what I'll say if this video gets really popular and the host of whichever late night show is in second place asks me how it feels to be a quote-unquote game changer. Just kidding. I'm just a middle-aged English teacher who really doesn't want to be anything else. The school is starting soon. My God, I just looked at the calendar and it's like, oh no, I don't know if I'm ready. Not after last year. Oh boy. Ugh. Anyway, but I don't want to be anything else, and but who also enjoys making these videos for fun. That's why I make them. I make them for me. I also enjoy interesting punctuation dilemmas, like whether or not the comma goes after the closing single quotation mark when ending a quotation and transitioning back into a continuing sentence at the end of a quote within a quote, which is what is happening right here. So you see, you have a double quotation mark, standard for a quotation. Challenging the form, we are using this as a coined phrase. Therefore, we are putting it in quotes. Quotation marks are used for a few different things. Obviously, they're used for direct quotations, but they are also used for coined terms or indications of sarcasm. is another common usage, which is why the finger quotes have come into use. But they're not always used correctly, finger quotes. People often use them when they're just being mean or insensitive, when they're supposed to be used as an indication of sarcasm. So if you're being mean and then putting it in air quotes, you're actually intending the opposite of what you say, which is how sarcasm works, which would mean that you were being nice. So yeah, if you misuse those, you're stupid. Anyway, but yeah, I really enjoy a good, like, I did spend some time. It was like, well, let me look up what the rule is. And guess what? I couldn't find a rule. No Grammar Girl, no Ask Grammar, no Grammar.com, no Grammarly, no Grammar Date, no Grammar.org, no Grammar Swipe, no Grammar Book, no Grammars and Boobies. That's an adult type site for grammar. Anyway, yeah, it just, there's, what were you going to find? There's no instance of someone asking this question. And in the world of punctuation, sometimes you come across things which are like, hey, what do you do? And it's a judgment call that would be made by a copy editor. And so I put on my copy editor hat and I was like, okay, well, we have, like, normally if it's part of the sentence but not part of the quote, then you would punctuate it differently. But it's both part of the sentence and part of the quote, and therefore I'm going on the inside. Was my judgment. But I could see, if you want to argue, because I actually did try putting the comma after the single quotation mark, I could see the argument being made for that. But I don't know that this is an instance of settled law because of how rarely it comes up. Anyway, just a fun thing to think about. And I'm an English teacher, and that's the kind of crap that I think about. Hey, guess how much of my salary is based on the fact that I know stuff like that? None of it. None. None dollars and none cents. That's not what my salary goes to pay for at all. There's no, like, special camp for, hey, why don't you learn how to punctuate extra special good? Nope, not a thing. This is not part of my salary whatsoever that I'm paid to do. It's yeah, none of my salary is spent in that way. It's like none of my salary is expended on the behalf or on the part of my employer in making me know this, or even in caring whether or not I do. Because I don't know if they know that I do, because I just know it because I want to know it. That's why. Because teachers do it for the love of the game, which is why we're always underpaid and undervalued. It's true. Like, if you go to teach and it is not in your blood, you will be done most often in the first year, after the first year, very often within the first 5 years. Like, there is a coming teacher shortage, and it is due mostly to the fact that we are underpaid and undervalued. So anyway, yeah, definitely ask us to do more and not pay us for it. You know, like the freaking like, hey, we're gonna have you do hybrid learning. Okay, cool. What's that? It's a thing that hasn't been invented yet, so go do it and invent how to do it while you are doing it. This is what we were asked to do. Like, yeah, it's true. And if you think that it's easy, then you have no idea what goes down in modern education today. You have no freaking idea. Like, if you're thinking about education in the way that it was done when you were in school, I'm sorry. If you're watching this video, like, if you are, let's say, over the age of 25, guess what? The game's changed. The game's changed since you were in there. And it will change again. Like, and we will be expected to accommodate those changes with no increase in income and very little increased training. So yeah, it's a good time. Good time. Yeah, yeah. Definitely underpay us. This is great. Oh, oh boy. You know, you get me on the teacher stuff. You get me. Oh man, Braxton writing that teacher material. He knows what my day job is. I may be of the Clemson Pembertons, but y'all know. Comedy show. We're doing one of those. Allegedly. Alleged comedy. Anyway, moving onward and upward. We only got like 83 more slides to go. So let's do it. Hey, look, it's the triumphant return of the comedy hole. So as you can see, this is the comedy line at which things begin to be funny, and this is me after getting done saying whatever it was that I was talking about, which was over here being like, we don't get paid enough for what we do, and people don't understand our job, and they continue to demand more of us and more of our time despite not paying us any overtime. Like, if teachers just got overtime, holy frick. Could you imagine? Like, all of my teacher friends, just imagine their salaries doubling and tripling depending on how long you've been teaching. Anyway, regardless, that's doubling if you've been teaching for a while, tripling if you haven't. Anyway, yeah, but look, I gotta dig myself out this comedy hole. 'Cause comedy lines up here and me talk about teacher salaries down here in the not funny. People be like, nope, nobody, nope. I don't, that, nope, hold on. We're not advancing that slide. Okay, oh boy, I just saw what's coming. We are not digging out of the comedy hole on this bit. I'm just, look, it's a very professional thing. As all the greats have told us, quit on the bit before you start it. If there's any way that you can let the audience know that you have no faith in what you're about to launch into, just you don't believe in it at all, you don't think it's going to be any good, you don't think they're going to laugh or enjoy it at all. If there's any way that you could indicate that to the audience, like before you actually deliver what you're about to deliver, that's where this goes all the way up to the word triumphant. That's right. That's where that rarefied triumphant air. Okay, here we go. Chart number 1. Things I will and won't do for love. Buckle up. This is not going to be funny. I told you I was bailing on this. What'd you think? I was doubling back and being like, oh, maybe if I tell them that I'm bailing on it, they'll think that that's funny. Nope, I'm fully bailing on this. I am Braxton. This bit is not going to work. I'm telling you right now. The audience hates it. They haven't even seen it. God, what am I going to do? I don't have any good material. This is sitting here. It's freaking late as crap, Braxton. Thank you for the 87 slides. Why don't you write fewer slides and more funny slides, you dingus? And Chaz, where were you managing this whole situation? I mean, I don't know the difference between a producer, an executive producer, and a freaking manager of a show type runner, someone who runs a show. I don't freaking know the difference. And who even is our showrunner? Wait a minute. You're telling me that this whole time, drunk off her rumpus, Clarissa has been the showrunner? Lil Miss yell at the ref and then attempt to seduce him later in the parking lot, drinking entirely too much Chardonnay Clarissa. Okay. This show's going to be awesome. I wish that you could see that I put some air quotes around that to indicate sarcasm, because I know how quotes work because I'm an underpaid teacher. Yeah, that's right. Just putting myself back in the hole. Comedy. Okay. Chart number 1 of things that I will and won't do for love. Because obviously we've not kicked this dead horse about a Meatloaf song that nobody freaking remembers. Okay. There's things I will do. I will run right into hell and back. I'll never lie to you. That is a fact. That's, as it was in Rick Astley, so it shall be in the Meatloaf. I'm going to be there to the final act. I'll take a vow and seal the pact. That indicates like marriage. So this, up until 2014 was only heterosexual vows and or pacts. I mean, obviously Meatloaf be straight and whatnot. Anyway, regardless, but I'm just saying, if you're thinking of this song as like a love song that you could have as something that has meaning between you and your significant other, like, are you straight because of when this was written? Anyway, I will do anything you've been dreaming of. That is said several times. Many, many times. That I would do anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of. That is a commonly repeated refrain. I will raise you up. I will help you down. I will get you out of this godforsaken town. Somehow I'm going to make it all a little less cold. I guess just, turn on the heater, give you a sweater. I don't know, something. I mean, cold is not that big of a problem in the modern age. We've got, synthetic fibers and, heaters of a variety of types. I mean, even those little ceramic ones that you get at, Costco, the little dish, those are pretty good. I mean, it makes it at least a little less cold. It makes it a lot less cold if you're directly in front of it. Anyway, I'm going to hold you sacred. Never mind the fact that the first 4 commandments of the 10 commandments tell me not to hold you sacred. Yep, that's right. We're going to have a love situation in which I revere you as a goddess. So we're definitely going to be on equal footing. And when it comes down to the day-to-day of our relationship, and we're like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? And you're like, I want to go clubbing. And I'm like, I'm just kind of wanting a quiet night in. Could we catch up on our Netflix queue a little bit? Guess who's going clubbing? Because you are apparently a goddess. Okay? I will do that. I'm willing. This is the will list. I'm willing to hold you sacred. Yahweh, sorry, back burner. You know what I'm saying? It was because I'm holding sacred whoever, the unnamed person that I would do to be in love with. Okay? I'm going to hold you tight. I'm going to colorize your life, which, I have questions about what that means. I hope that's metaphorical. And not that, at best, you've been dressing like a mime. At best, you've been wearing black and white striped shirts and have been wearing mime makeup. And I hope to God you have not been employing yourself as a street performing mime. I mean, I will do a lot, but I don't think... we don't see anything on either list about street performing mime. I think I reserve the right to put that on the deal breaker list of things for love. Where's the deal breaker list? Number 1, miming. Is she a mime? No can do. Won't go for that. Oh, they should write a song about that. Oh, I won't go for that. It won't do. No. Not if she's a mime. Man, Hall & Oates could do a song like that. about a girl who's a mime, and I don't go for that. Yeah. Anyway, so colorize your life, because like if you are if you mean this in any other way other than like buy you a color TV, which it's 2021. They don't even make black and white TVs anymore. What, like if you have one is that works, it's a collectible and you could probably sell it and buy several like very large color 4K smart TVs. Like come on. Anyway, so I don't know what you mean by this, but oh, tread lightly. Tread lightly, girl. Uh Make it all a little less old. So, I'm guessing role play, like you want to spice up. I mean, you want to spice up the situation. That's what you're saying. You don't want it to be so old and routine. So you're like, spice is what you're looking for, because that's normally when people say, oh, I'm done with the same old, same old. They're like, let's do something. Let's get a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not like, I won't, I won't pretend to be a horse. I don't think that I could, don't think that I could introduce younger, more attractive, more sexually virile men into the relationship. That I see that as a direct threat to our relationship. So, I'm suggesting role play is what I'm suggesting. I was just gonna be like, ooh, I'm a college professor. Wait, no, I actually have taught college classes. That's nope, sorry. I was just trying to think of like standard practice, like, ooh, I'm a plumber. Do you want to get pipes fixed? And she'd be like, yes, I've been asking you. The sink has been dripping. And I'll be like, ooh, would you like me to fix that? And she's like, yeah. I literally have been wanting, and I'll be like, okay, I'll fix that. It's like two turns of a pipe wrench. Like, it's not even that big of a deal. Like, honestly, I do it. I'm like, pipe wrench, not even that. Like, I don't even, like, I'll get some channel locks, like the actual sliding kind, not the vice grips that you're thinking of. Anyway, it gives it like sliding channel locks, and just, you know, like, I could just do it with my bare hand, but like, you get a firmer grip. You make sure that you just making it happen. I give it like two turns and it's like fixed. And maybe you should know a thing or two about like fixing your own sink. Oh, and now that the sink's fixed, that a sense that you would like. First of all, wish that I was a little less lippy about the fact that you could learn a thing or two about fixing things around the house. Like, sure, yeah, I could be less lippy about that. But the fact that I've done manual household labor has turned you on somehow. Okay, I guess it's on. AWN on. Okay, you want me to make you some magic? Manually. Oh, with these own two hands. I see. The manual magic. Oh, you want to... oh, with my hand. Oh, ha. I got trim my fingernails. Like, that's... what? Look, I'm turning and I'm looking right now to the spot where my wife will be when I'm watching this. What? You could trim your fingernails for lots of reasons, not just, you know, when I say making magic manually, maybe it's like some sleight of hand and he needs to have trimmed fingernails to be able to, I don't know, palm a coin without clicking fingernail. I don't know. I don't know any sleight of hand. My lovely wife, I don't know. I could do a paddle trick that I learned from watching James Randi videos. R.I.P. James Randi. Anyway, hey, would it be magical for you if I talk to you about why I like James Randi? Okay, no. You mean, oh, yeah, that's right. Get the nail clippers. Anyway, build an emerald city from sand. What the crap? Okay, look. This is one of those things where, like, men and women have issues communicating because, like, you're obviously, if you're not speaking metaphorically, this makes no sense. Like, emerald city from sand. First of all, emeralds are not made from sand. Like, you know that, don't you? It's not how emerald is create. It's basic geology. I mean, basic. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two is like, even if it were, you want me to build an entire city, like the freaking city from the Wizard of Oz. You want me to build out of sand? Okay, so how do I do that metaphorically? It's like make use some magic with my hand. Like, I got it. Like, trim my nails. Like, let's get down to business. Like, let's get that done. Let's get you taken care of. But like Emerald City from sand, what? What? Anyway, give you something you can take home. First of all, we live together. Like that. It's 2021. We live together. Why wouldn't we? But you want like some sort of gift bag, maybe an edible arrangeable, like a basket full of half rotten fruit. Anyway, I guess what are those, like 20, 25 bucks, $50? Are you freaking serious? For a thing that's like, oh, it's a cool arrangement of things that are like going bad by the time the person receiving them actually sees it. Okay, what a business model. Anyway, that's okay. I'll give you, and you can take it all the way home, even though it will be delivered to our home and the home where I live with you, and you can take it home, even though it will be delivered home. I guess you bringing it inside after the guy rings the doorbell, I guess that's you taking it. You're still on the premises when the exchange from the UPS guy with his little clipboard thing that you sign, like, yeah, that exchange takes place on the premises. Yeah, I mean, it's on our side of the property line, so like still whatever. I mean, take it home. Let's semantics. Come on, where's home start? And some of these are driving me crazy. I agree to it. These are things I agreed to. This is driving me a little bit crazy, but you know what? This is the price you pay. It's called relational maintenance. Look it up. Anyway, I will cater to your every fantasy. Now, look, after all this crap that I have agreed to do, I'm willing to attempt to metaphorically and hopefully not literally build you an emerald city from sand, whatever that means. I'm willing to at least try, and then now you're saying cater to your every fantasy? Like, what? How is all of this not your every fantasy? Like, my fantasies are like, I mean, you know what my fantasies are. No, you know what my fantasies are. No. Clown mask lights on. Anyway, so yeah, like that's okay. Look, things. All right, I gotta hose you down with holy water when you get too hot. Hot. Because that in the song is when she says, hose me down with holy water when I get too hot, and then that's what Bonnie Tyler says, and then Meatloaf is like, hot. He says it all hot like. Anyway. Take you places you've never known. New Emerald City, like, am I supposed to be, or are we going on a trip? Or are we talking that Emerald Sand City I'm supposed to build? I mean, that'd be a new place. As long as I'm building it, I might as well take you there, and then you've never been there, and so I'm taking you places you've never known. Oh, I gotta take you to Paris. Oh, you see Amelie, and suddenly you're like, oh, I must go to France. Like, ugh. No, I enjoyed Amelie. Is this why do I have to take a trip to France? I mean, geez. I mean, come on. you know, uh, I I enjoyed Where Eagles Dare on cable the other day, and we didn't take a trip to Germany in wintertime. I mean, come on. You're driving me nuts. I swear to God. Anyway, yeah, sure. Paris, it'll be love. This is the will list. I already agreed. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yes, sure. Paris will be lovely this time of year, and it won't be very expensive to get there. And they won't spit in all our food, probably. And they won't surrender to us as soon as we get off the plane. Ugh, God. Yeah, really looking forward to these French. Oh, yeah. No, I'm allowed to put air quotes around it because I'm an English teacher and I know what I'm doing. Anyway, moving on. These are things I won't do for love. I won't forget everything. I will not consider it an interlude and or Midsummer Night's Fling. I will not move on. I will not have us all turn to dust and fall down. And I will not screw around. You know, honestly, if I'm looking at the things you're asking me to not do, I think this last one is the whole list. Like, I mean, the will list is, I mean, we all agree there's a lot on there. The won't list is like mainly this one, right? I mean, mainly though. Let's look. You made me go through all that. I'm going to have to build some sort of emerald city for the love of God. And you're asking me to accept that this is not really, really the item that you're most interested in? Okay. All right. Yep. No. I agree. I won't. I won't. I swear to God, I won't. Okay. Tell me about the Emerald City. Anyway, hey, look, it's chart number 2. Number of love wills versus number of love won'ts. As you can see, the will versus won't list, 76% of the items on the list are wills. Even though, as we discussed, really is just mainly one of those won'ts much more than the other. If we were looking at a list of like actual wills versus actual won'ts, it'd be like 96 and 4%. Anyway, but you can see there, chart number 2, very self-explanatory. Chart number 3, very important, market research. See, Dimitri Martin would never do this in such a boring business-like way. When I do it, it sounds like, oh, God. This is what it's like being in this guy's class. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Awful lot of Google Slides in my class. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Google Slides = learning. Anyway, chart number 3, market research on proposed Meatloaf song name changes. Okay. Coming in with a second lowest score here. Love, wills, and won'ts. The third lowest score. I would do more for love than you'd think. Is technically true, but is only the third highest score there. Captain Love's list of wills and won'ts gain some momentum with, interestingly, with our over 55 demographic. That's where that got a lot of play. Anyway, American Pie, our least popular. I don't know why that would be, but I think maybe because the name is already taken. We did think about that, but we threw it into the mix just as a, just shake it up, just see where the pulse of the people is. But by far, way up here, way up, way. You see how high this is, especially compared with this way up here, this way down here. Have you ever seen someone do charts before? Like how tall the thing is like it's a lot. Is like the second most, but like not as much as this one by like a bunch. Like not exact numbers, but like bigness. I mean, I guess you could find rough numbers based on how close to 50 and how close to 100 and be like, nah, like almost twice. Like maybe, I don't know. I don't know if almost twice, probably pretty close. More than this one, but I wouldn't say 3 times. Definitely at least 3 times more than this. And like 6 times more than this, probably. I don't know, just eyeballing it. Anyway, that's why you came here. Comedy in which I eyeball graph sizes. Like, this one is big. I like it because of the bigness. Anyway, look. We haven't even read the name of the really big one. Maybe you have. Maybe you're the kind of person who looks ahead. You look at the information on the slide. You don't listen to the words the guy who's delivering the slides actually says. Ugh. Man, those people. You listen to me at all. I've been over here wasting time when I should have been going to bed, but I'm over here doing a show. Wait, hey now. Did we do the theme song? I don't think we've done the theme song. Let's do the theme song real quick. Right here in the middle of the slide. Sure. You just promise me you won't read what's over here. Don't read it. I'm going to say it out loud, and you don't get to know what this is until I've said it out loud. So you just listen to the theme song. It's going to be very important. It's going to be like differently better than the last time that you heard it. You're going to be like, oh, wow, that's differently better than the last time when I heard it.
This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme. This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme.
There we go. Waited for the cha and everything. Okay. Now I know. Look, you ever heard of the marshmallow experiment? Where people who could wait for things are better, more morally upright, more awesome people who go on to like dunk more basketballs and sleep with more cheerleaders. Okay, well, yeah, exactly. It's kind of sweet life they're living. Anyway, if you didn't read this and are hearing it now for the first time ever, oh, get ready for slam dunks and cheerleaders. Anyway, here we go. A non-exhaustive list of actions, real and imagined, literal and hopefully metaphorical. Oh, yeah, that's a double parenthetical. Oh, man, I love good punctuation. Double parenthetical in a chart description? What? That, ooh. Anyway, I told you as an English teacher, you don't believe me? I'm just getting excited about this crap. Anyway, do things you can get excited about for a living, and then you'll actually maybe enjoy yourself some of the time. Jeez, you don't get paid that well, but you'll enjoy it. Anyway, that's right. Get back in the trench. We don't need you on the comedy surface. We need you down in the comedy trenches. Anyway, gonna get comedy trench foot over here. Ho, that joke, that's like a Bob Hope joke. Comedy trench foot. That's like a USO Bob Hope. Got to hold a golf club to say that joke. Anyway, yeah. So a non-exhaustive list of actions, real and imagined, literal and hopefully metaphorical, which I will and won't Tackle for Love. Tackle, this freaky guy. I really, am I going to change it? Am I going to go back and change it? Am I going to, no, because I have to go in. I have to go into the actual, that's a later one. That's a later one. Nope. That's other charts and graphs, and I don't want to actually go into the source and change the label on the deal with imperfections. God. Ugh. Let's just move on. I don't like the way that L looks. It's eyeballing me it's calling me a failure. Stop calling me a failure, you L. I hope terrible things happen to you because that anatomically correct K is standing right behind you, waiting for you to drop the soap. You stupid L. Okay. Here's graph number 1. See, this is a chart. You thought I lost count because this was chart number 3, and then you're like, why is he on number 1? We've already seen 3 of these. Nope. This is graph number 1. My interest in seeing more charts versus the audience's interest in seeing more charts over time. These are different indications of time. This is interest level in percentages, going from 100% interest down to no interest whatsoever. So, at birth, look at me. Here I am, red line. Boom, 100%. At birth, so interested. I'm like, man, someday there's going to be comedy charts, and I'm going to make them, and I want to see what they say. I was just there. The audience was like, oh, comedy charts. Wait, is this Dimitri Martin? That guy's funny. I don't know about this guy. This guy is like not even budget Dimitri Martin. He's like, he's like friggin', made in China, bought in a bodega, weird knockoff, strange, like, how does cardboard get so thin and plastic film over the front of the obviously knockoff product of hilarious charts, which aren't even hilarious. They're supposed to be funny. You're just like expecting me to fail. But kind of curious, like, hey, maybe we'll see a car wreck, or like maybe it won't be completely terrible, or maybe it will be terrible and we'll enjoy it in that like so bad that it's good way that we all enjoyed The Room. You know what I'm saying? I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Come on, like that's where you are at birth. At birth, you already knew about Tommy Wiseau. You did. You did. Anyway, you're a very clever cinematic baby. Okay, when I started this video, look, my interest in charts had gone down. I had created a few, and I was like, oh, I hope they're good. I hope the announcerman, which is me, Clem Pemberton of the Clems and Pembertons, that I would do a great job in presenting them, but I was also a little bit butterflies. If I'm being 100% honest, a little bit butterflies about my ability to bring out the funny in these otherwise mundane charts. Because you got to have a lot of funny. You can't just rely on the chart to do it. You got to have timing. You got to have presentation. You got to have, a look that says, I'm a fella who can make a chart. You know what I'm saying? You look at Dimitri Martin and you're like, oh boy, this is a kid who owned a graphing calculator. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what is said by his face and his general, all the things about him. Anyway, but like, so yeah, I was having some second thoughts. You guys were like, boom, boom. He starts the video. He like wastes a ton of time right off the top. I don't know what about that is appealing to you whatsoever. This video's gone off the rails. There's like 30,000 slides left to go through, and you're still like, boom, boom. There you go. Anyway, so then we get to here. After the first chart was shown, we both dipped with the same point where, we both dipped down a little bit, but we're still, we're well above the halfway mark. So this is like pure meh. This is like no. And this is like yay. And we're more yay than no. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. This is the meh line that separates the yay from the no. It's basic math. Everybody knows that. Look, have you ever been to Dimitri Martin's show? Does he ever take time to explain the freaking equator of meh that separates the yay from the no? I don't know. I don't know where we're going. Okay, look. So, first chart was shown. Then after the second chart, mine declined precipitously because I was like, this is not going to go well. Oh boy, is this... Okay, let me remind you, okay? All right. This was the first slide of chart number 1. You guys were like, hey, this might be pretty good. And I was even like, he might be able to do something with this. Then you saw this one and you're like, oh boy, it's taking a turn. And that's I lost a lot of faith. You lost a little bit. Let's be honest. After the third, which to remind you is the one that we just watched here, this part, me just doing this with the tackle, like this is where I ended up. The tackle killed it for me. You thought the tackle was kind of funny. You thought it had a certain Kofefi vibe where we could like make fun of me for it, but in a way that like ultimately doesn't mean anything, and we could use it as a way to just spare a moment to, distract ourselves from the otherwise horrifying details of what has become our day-to-day lives in these trying and difficult times. Anyway, that's where you are. This is where I am. I'm like, oh God, Tackle, this is not gonna go better. And you're like, hey, maybe we can make some fun out of this. Anyway, in the robot-dominated future, look at you. You're losing hope. But guess what? I happen to know a thing or two. You know who loves charts? Freaking robots. It's all zeros and ones to them. And zeros and ones make them chuckle. I just can't even wait. I'd be like, so a 00011011011011101 walked into a bar along with a 0101101101010, and they walk up to the bar and the one looks at the other and is like, hey, you flipping me off? You flipping me off. Oh, it's that extra one. Anyway, or that extra zero. Which is on, which is off. Obviously, one would be on. It's the extra zero. Tell a joke right. God, all that build up to a half-decent binary joke, and he flubs it at the finish line. Who is this host? And who gave him a job? And why are you still watching this? Hey, are you watching this? Do you play video games on the popular video game distribution service via the personal computer Steam? Would you like a Steam game code? I'll give you one for free. For free, my friend. All you have to do is type robot-dominated future in the comments. Be like, robot-dominated future. I saw that part, and I demand that you give me game code or something to that, something of that respect. You can even choose other random phrase from the middle of this video. I won't remember. I won't for reasons. I'm enjoying my weekend. Get off my back. Anyway, chart number 4. Focus group responses to the whole let's do a whole episode based on charts and graphs concept. Oh boy, Man, I just got a lot of feedback on this. Um, Perhaps too much. Big focus group. But we focus group the idea of whether or not we should do a whole episode based on charts and graphs. And we separated into people who are like, do more charts. Their answers tended toward do more charts. And the people whose answers tended toward no, please don't do that. Cool people, do more charts. Very few of them. We suspect that these are posers who are not actually cool, and we will find that out when it turns out that the cute boy only asked them on a date on a dare from their cool friends. And unless she comes to the prom not wearing glasses and looking like a million dang bucks, she will remain not cool and also a statistical anomaly for our research. So, you know, get it together, take off them glasses, get someone to do your hair and wear a semi-revealing dress. And high heels. Because if you can't do that, then, I mean, why vote with the cool people? I mean, you're the one who's like, I think I'm a cool person. Like, you're trying to be something you're not, honey. Are you or are you not? Okay, losers, which maybe you belong down here. We'll see the dress. Anyway, losers, vast majority of them said do more charts. We think that the couple here that said no, please don't do that were actually probably slackers who showed up late and voted with the wrong group because of confusion or who knows. Maybe they're on drugs or something. Who knows with slackers? Okay. Jocks, few of them said do more charts, but I think those are those weird student athlete types, you know? Anyway, but the vast majority of jocks said no, please don't do that. Slackers, as you'll notice, you add these two together, they do not equal the vote totals of any other group. That's because slackers, obviously. So yeah, the slacking off in classic form, but the vast majority of the slackers, more than double the number, said no, please don't do that. Skaters, who are pretty cool people, but they're not cool people because they're cool people. They're cool because they skate. If they didn't skate, would they be cool? I don't know. Who's doing that study and what's your control group? Anyway, so no, scooter kids wouldn't work. Oh my God, you don't know how to run a study at all, do you? Anyway, skaters, mostly no. Haters, 100%. We got 100% from the haters, and they all said no more slides. But not surprising, they are haters. They do identify themselves based on their hatefulness. Hopefully not engaging in any hate crimes, those haters. Hopefully they just, have a general hate for everyone and everything and not any specific hates based on race, color, religion, creed, nationality, etc. The debaters, interestingly, produced a 50-50 tie. We suspect that they, assigned votes is what we've heard. Seems weird, but they did debate it, so at least there's that. The I voted for Naders, a lot more of them around than you'd think. Yeah, most of them said do more charts, but do take into account they voted for Nader. So, yeah. Anyway, translators, pretty low turnout. Actually, I was talking to someone and they said that the turnout seemed much better for the translators, but we don't know how many of them are actually faking it, pretending to be able to translate when they actually can't. It's a much more common thing than you think. I mean, someone comes to you and they're speaking German and you and a buddy neither of you can actually speak German, but the guy's like, Sprechen Sie, fragen Sie, hoidel-dee-dee, and you're like, Haben Sie, fragen Sie, wiggity-woo. And they're like, what? That's not German. But they say it in German. They're like, Das ist nicht Deutsch gesprochen. And you're like, Da, ich habe eine Wiener Schnitzel in der Lederhosen. And they're like, what? But they say what in German again. And so the person that you're translating for, you could tell them anything. You could say, they accept your business proposition and wish you good health. And they'd be like, oh, well, wish them a domo arigato. And you say, yes, I will. Domogalus origatamus. That sounds like a Harry Potter curse. Demologus origatimus. Upside your head, Voldemort. Anyway, regardless, translators, half of them be faking it. Like, otherwise, this be way over here. Still, most of them said no. Gators said do more charts. And you know what I think that's about? I think that they like the man flesh. The gators have learned, they've developed a taste for man flesh. Look, there have been enough gator-type accidents this year that I think it's about time for us to recognize that gators have a taste for man flesh. And they want us all to be in one place, working on charts, watching somebody do more charts so that they can sneak up on you, grab you by the leg. Once they clamp down, they don't let go. They swallow you, and then they've got a big U-shaped lump in their tummy while they digest you over a 3-day period, and then eventually poop out a turd that is most of your body weight. Anyway, that's what the gators are hoping to do. Tuscan raiders, surprisingly not a very technologically advanced species. Most of them said no on the charts. We were worried that they wouldn't know what a chart was. We think they may have thought it was some sort of Jedi witchcraft, and they hate it, and they don't want it. These ones, we think that they didn't know which one was yes and which one was no. We think these were the early voters, and then once they figured out which one was no, they just hammered it. Hermann Wilhelm Goering's, there's only one of him, and he said do more charts. But he's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. He's an actual Nazi. Committed war crimes and everything. Terrible. Terrible. So, look, this person who said Nazi, up arrow, question mark, 100% of them are like, don't do that. Do they mean don't do that? Don't sneak a Nazi into the list? Are you upset that I snuck a Nazi into the list, or are you okay with the fact that I snuck a Nazi in and said that he was terrible? Does it make up for the fact that I brought him up in the first place if I say he's terrible? Does it? I don't think it does. Let's move on. I'm sorry. Oh, no. I'm just remembering things that are coming in the future, and I'm like, oh, boy. We might... Look, I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, you have the everything of a goyim. You sound like you look like a goyim, and I do. I'm the kind of person where if I'm going into the Muslim-owned sites in Jerusalem, they don't have to ask. You know what I'm saying? My brother said that's the way it was. He was a Catholic priest, and when we went to the Holy Land, they went to some Muslim sites, and they were checking everybody. They're like, you're not Jewish born, are you? Because they have laws against not letting any Jewish peoples on these sacred Muslim sites. And they took one look at my brother, and they were like, no, all of your facial features and the way that you talk and dress and carry yourself and are, everything about you says not Jewish. And they let him in. They didn't even ask him any questions. They're like, probably more one of us than you are one of them. Like, I don't know what that means, but he totally got to see sacred Muslim sites in Israel, so or in Palestine. Such a problem. I thought Jared Kushner would have solved it by now. I mean, we moved the embassy. That didn't solve it. God. Okay, and now interesting things confiscated by generic fantasy medieval land law enforcement officers. So, you know your generic fantasy medieval land? It's like a fantasy land that's like somehow also medieval. Yeah, one of those lands, but generic though. This is what things confiscated by their law enforcement officers. So, this is like you and your friends casually playing D&D because no one has time to properly plan like a real campaign, and so you just like come up with something and some rough ideas you throw it together. You're like, this'll work. Anyway, that place, their law enforcement officers have confiscated some interesting goods, and we're about to find out what they are. This is going to be hilarious because we've given up on the concept of graphs and charts, right? People said no, right? People said no. I say no. Law enforcement time. Okay. Interesting things confiscated by generic fantasy medieval land law enforcement officers. Number 1, ring of evasion of taxes. Oh, man. This is Wesley Snipes wearing this thing. Ring of feather falling off the wagon after 6 months sobriety. Deck of many things, all of which have naked ladies on the back. You've seen this deck around. They sell it in the swarthy shops in the swarthy part of Swarthyton. You know, the swarthy bits. The more I say swarthy, it makes it sound more racist. I just like the word swarthy, but I know that it has like such a negative connotation because it's like dark-skinned and by extension bad, you know, like it's just such a judgmental word, but it's fun to say. Oh, but you know what? That's also people's justification for saying all kinds of terrible words. Oh, it's just so easy to call someone or call them an or say, hey, get over here, you. Anyway, yeah, I can't. This is just not. Let's not do that. Anyway, naked ladies. A ring of resistance to saying you love me in front of your friends. Like, I say I love you when we're in front of your friends, and you're like, yes, acknowledged. You'd be like, I know you're trying to Han Solo the thing, but I see how you are when we're alone, and you're so loving and kind. And I just wish you could show that side to your friends and not worry about them laughing and mocking you. Because if they laugh and mock you, then maybe they're not really your friends. Like, you could say that you love me in front of my girlfriends and they wouldn't care. They would think it was cute. No, it is the same. It is the same. My friends and your friends, how is that not the same? I don't know if this is going to work out. Cloak of many fashions, all of them crimes after Labor Day. You know what I'm saying? It's many fashions. Like, you'd just be like, boom, look at me. I'm peacocking with my P-type cock. Anyway, and then you're like, boom, look at me. I'm strutting the runway in the newest fashions. Boom, I'm putting it away because Labor Day. We know the rules. Anyway. Gloves of thievery of small office supplies. Yeah, that was petty crime, but, you know, still had to confiscate the gloves. Iron flask full of medicine, if you know what I mean. Medicine? No, we wouldn't have confiscated it if it were actual medicine. I'm talking about like chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. It makes you want to holler Heidi-ho. It burns your tummy. Don't you know? Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Oh my God. Oh, this one does not know. You know, it's like my grandpappy always used to say, you can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. I don't know why he said it. But you know what? You can be happy if you've a mind to. Pretty sure. Oh, dang me. Dang me. They'll take a rope and hang me. High from the highest tree. Well, would you weep for me? No. All right. Moving on. Boots of false tracks away from that slut half-elf's house. Don't think I don't know about her. Such a slutty, about half of, half races. Yeah. Yeah. Half of these like half human, half elf. Yeah, that means that somewhere in their bloodline, freaky deaky was happening, and yeah, the freakatage of that decatage has carried on into the current generation. That's what I'm saying about that little so and so. You wear your boots of false tracks all you want. I know where you've been. I know where you've been. Carpet of flying from responsibility. Oh, yeah. Boy, you're going to be flying out of here on that. I have no doubt. Helm of comprehending languages, but still lacking the words to tell your law enforcement partner how you really feel. Oh my God. I mean, look, I'm Rem Pemberton reading this. I'm just the host. I'm reading the list. It's my job. I'm doing a fantastic job of reading this. But in reading this list, I'm realizing that one of the law enforcement officers from generic fantasy medieval land is in love with another one of the officers, and it's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, number one. Don't dare mock me for being on the verge of tears about this, because this is real. This is real, because guess what? Back in those days, they did not allow women to be law enforcement officers, so this is two men. Two men who just, against all odds, against the laws of man and God, dreamed to reach for the skies and clutch a happiness that the world said they could lay no claim on, but they dared to grasp it nonetheless. They dared to grasp. Oh, that helm of comprehending languages. Man, like to find me a guy with a helm of comprehending languages, take him home and not watch football, if you know what I mean. Not watch football. You know what I'm saying? Is the football, we're not going to watch it. Oh, it'll be on. We're not going to watch it. Anyway, belt of hill giant strength. Yeah, hill giant strength and the old sackaroonie dooney, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? In the old sack. Yeah, that's right. When you're not watching football with your friend, your guy friend. You guys are friends, and sometimes you go to dip a chip, and he's gone to dip a chip, and you grab the same chip, and you're both touching the same chip, and then you turn to each other, and your eyes lock, and there's a knowledge that you both know. You know what you are, you know what you want. You dare not say it aloud, but you both feel it. Yeah. And you take it on back to the old Sackaroonie, and boom! Hill giant strength. Oh, you're bringing it hard and powerful. Hill giant strength. Anyway, better get you one of them nuclear power bottoms that we was talking about from one of the former episodes, where we're like, vroom, vroom, it's a nuclear power bot. Do nuclear things go vroom? Could we get the research department? Does nuclear power go vroom? Hey, research department, who's in research? No, Chaz, I'm looking at you, dingus. You supposedly help run that. Well, I know that Clarissa's the showrunner, but she's not exactly like good with knowing who the personnel are. Anyway, look, yeah, sometimes I swear to God, there's so many white people in here trying to figure out who does what. It's impossible. You're impossible. I would clear the room of white people like I did on our special Juneteenth spectacular, but not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. You stupid white people, we're just gonna sit here and stew together. Just be like, well, this is the whitest freaking show. Look how white this screen is. It's how white this room is. Sure, we got some dotted lines in here. Oh, do we, Gary? Oh, what a dotted line that guy is. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, man. Allegedly a straight line. He is dotted. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, helm of teleportation away from commitment. Boy, I know this one. I know this artifact a little too well. The lyre of building toward orgasm. That doesn't go one to the other. Like you're flying away from commitment or teleporting away from commitment, but building toward orgasm. Hopefully you're not doing both of those at the same time. That just shudder to think of what that would mean about you as a person. Anyway, apparatus of the crab is not street legal on county roads. This whole thing is hilarious if you know your D&D things. The apparatus of the crab is like, it's a giant vehicle that can like lobster walk. In the description, it's called apparatus of the crab, but it says specifically that it walks forward and back like a lobster, which is total dingus. Why not call it apparatus of the lobster then? It's an armored vehicle, total badass, but it ain't street legal. I mean, it'd be like driving an Abrams tank down the street. Do you think you could do that? I mean, no. Gotta get permits and crap, and the only time you'd be able to is in a parade or something. Anyway, regardless, apparatus of the crab had to confiscate it. It's not street legal. Anyway, and finally, a bag of holding full of dildos. That was the first one I thought of. Thought it was funny at the time. Now that I've had time to think about it, I have completely lost faith in the joke, and have delivered it in a very half-hearted way that makes you say, boy, it must not be funny. But really, it is kind of funny. It's just the guy telling you the joke is like, meh, I give up. And nothing says comedy like, meh, I give up. Anyway, and now, prepare yourself for the collage of Davids. Yes, the collage of Davids we've been preparing. Actually, now that I think about it, nothing I could tell you could prepare you adequately for the collage of Davids, which is what I'm about to show you. Just promise me that you won't grow so jealous of my collage of Davids that you enslave me, kill me, cut off my skin to make a suit of man flesh, and pretend that my collage of Davids is actually your own. As a matter of fact, Susan, where are the legally binding contracts which legally bind the signer to not grow so jealous of my collage of Davids that you enslave me, kill me, cut off my skin to make a suit of man flesh, and pretend that my collage of Davids is actually your own? Can you bring some of those in, please? They're for tonight's audience. No, I'm gonna show them my collage of Davids, and I'm concerned about whether or not it's just dotting I's, crossing T's. I mean, Susan, you know who you work for. It'd be funnier if this was on the slide, the part that I'm saying right now. I'm riffing, and it's ruining the joke that's about to come. And by mentioning that it's ruining it extra hard. God, I forgot how to comedy. Why did I have my dialogue with my secretary Susan pre-written on the slides, and then I read the slides as if they were happening in the moment? Kind of like I did with the last slide, only the last slide was written from the point of view of someone who is skeptical of my ability to pre-write secretary dialogue and still deliver it in a natural way, not from mine in a one-sided I can fix this one. One-sided conversation with a fictional secretary Susan. And now, also mind your own goddamn business. Oh, hello. Hold up. Shows the outline of a pistol in his jacket pocket. Doesn't actually show the outline of a pistol, but reads a line of stage directions saying that he did. And now, what are we even doing? Like, God, what are we doing? Do you know what time it is? It's a ridiculous time. The sun is coming up. This is stupid. Why do I keep doing this? I'm upset with me. I'm not joking. I'm actually upset with me. Okay. Oh, right. Collage of Davids. Boom. You got your David Bowie. Got your Tennant. Got your Letterman. Got your Biblical and Goliath. I mean, you don't hear about one without the other. You got your Carradine. You got your Barry. Got your Cosby. Got your Michelangelos. Got your Grohl. He fell on my face once. That's a story that I would tell if it were not so late, but that is factually accurate. Dave Grohl, I went to a concert. It was Weezer and Foo Fighters co-headlining. It was the Foozer tour. Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters fell onto my face. True story. He was all sweaty. Copperfield, obviously. Anyway, this is my collage of Davids. And now, things that you can actually buy on the internet right now in 2021. Oh, God. The horror. The horror. Hey, did the host just do an ASMR thing? No, I did like an old man voice. It was like, I didn't do like, the horror. Crinkles of bagels and horror. Like, ugh. Nope. Did not do that. Let me just ask you something. Is ASMR a sex thing? I mean, it seems like it's a sex thing, but I first heard about it on This American Life, and that doesn't seem like the kind of show that would feature that kind of story or that horrifying mask on the right. Yeah, I did this whole bit with this mask right here, and you just had to look at it, and you're like, it's like a sock from hell. It looks like a sock, looks like it would be a sock, but then it's not. It's a mask, and it's like, why and how and what sort of a God would allow this to happen and claim to be just and loving? What sort of a universe would contain a deity that created it and allowed this kind of crap to go on? What kind of God? Anyway. Hey, and now, oh, God. Yeah, it's Grendleton's old world children's stories, which would be horrifying if actually true. We've got to get through this much faster than we would if we were doing it regs and slegs, because like this show's gone on way too long. Way too freaking long, I'm telling you. Anyway, The Stone Carver and the Bee. This a totally real fairy tale from Grendleton's Old World children's stories, which would be horrifying if actually true. There once was a stone carver who lived a simple life with a simple wife in a simple village outside a great castle. The stone carver and his wife didn't live inside the castle because the nobles are of inherently greater moral fiber. Otherwise, God would not have blessed them in the many ways in which he has so obviously blessed them. And the stone carver and his wife would not mesh well with people of such unassailable quality. One day the stone carver's wife, who was apparently through with the day-to-day rigmarole of motherhood, strongly suggested that her husband take their 8 children into the woods. The stone carver knew how he must respond to such suggestions if he wanted to continue getting the kind of regular nookie that gave him 8 children in the first place. He took the children into the woods, but the children linked arms, beginning at the back door of their simple cottage. Because there were so freaking many of them, evidence of the lowered morals of the lower classes who don't know how to stop at a gentleman's allowance of only 2 very stuck-up children, when their father abandoned them, as the lower classes in fairy tales, and by extension in real life, are wont to do. The children had only to follow the trail of excess children back to the homely hovel. They will no doubt keep their parents barely struggling to pay for years to come. What with their lower class morals and all. When the stone carver's wife saw that the children had returned, she was furious, and took them out and sold them into slavery, a thing which was a perfectly legal practice which Christians justified with appeals to the Bible. The wife felt satisfied now that she was free of the restraints of motherhood. She could finally have a little free time and money to spend it in any way she pleased, thank you very much. Due to the lack of education for lower-class women of the day, the wife was soon dumb enough and morally bankrupt enough to soon find herself hundreds of marks in debt to a Jewish banker, who was one of the only people of the day who could charge interest on lent money, and therefore one of the only people who was able to operate a money-lending business, which therefore created an unfortunately long-lived cultural stereotype. When the baker demanded his money, the stone carver and his wife cursed the Jewish man, burying in the social subconscious the idea that Jewish people are unfair with money, even though the banker was engaging in perfectly legal practices which are now commonly employed by all wealthy Christian bankers who see no problem with the practice now that they have selectively reinterpreted their sacred text in order to allow themselves to become rich off the very practices they decried when employed by Jews less than a century before. Still unfairly cursing the Jewish banker and harboring resentment against him, his religion, and his culture, the stone carver and his wife returned home in order to discuss a solution by which they could save their home. At first, the wife suggested selling her body outside the local tavern. The stone carver found this idea exciting at first, but then, when picturing himself having to watch his wife being defiled by the kinds of lecherous vassals who hung out outside the tavern, he shuddered and spent several hours talking her out of it. After a protracted argument, during which the stone carver was forced to consider a circumstance under which he would sell his own body outside the tavern, which surely would only draw the interest of overly fraternal minstrels, the stone carver and his wife decided that he must now carve twice as much stone per day in order to meet their debt payments on time. I mean, his wife could have started a daycare or something, but I don't think they had them back then. And who would she be watching kids for? The floozies outside the tavern? On the first day of his double carving, the stone carver found himself sweating in the noonday sun, and, with the day half spent, it was clear that he would not carve twice as much stone as he had on the last day in which he carved stone. I mean, obviously the previous day was a weekend because he wasn't at work during banker's hours and he had time to hold a lengthy argument with his wife. There's no way he fit all that into a work day. As he swatted at what he thought was a fly, drinking the sweat from his neck, he heard a small voice. The voice said, "Careful, don't swat me." "And why should I not swat a pestering fly?" asked the stone carver. "Because I'm not a fly. I'm a bee, and not just a bee, but a magical bee," replied the voice. Because the stone carver was hardly more educated than his wife, having only attended schooling for his trade, he was scarcely more intelligent than his wife, and he trusted the bee sight unseen. The bee was so thankful to not have been brutally swatted that she promised the stone carver that she would grant him one wish. The stone carver exercised no skepticism whatsoever, probably due to his poor education, and immediately wished that his allotment of double carving would be magically done for him every day. The bee was surprised by his rather humble request. "Wouldn't you rather have me grant you lands, titles, riches, and powers? That's what I thought you'd ask for. I mean, no offense, but you're pretty lower class, and you know what upper-class people say about lower-class people. They aren't as moral as we are, because otherwise God would have allowed them to be as rich as you or I, but he clearly didn't." The stone carver shook his head. "I don't know anything about titles, powers, or lands, but I do know about carving stone. So if you can help with that, I'd be much obliged." At hearing his humble speech, the bee said, "Kiss me, you mad fool. Kiss me better than any man has ever kissed a bee before." Not entirely sure that this wasn't the effect of some sour-tasting mead he had drunk the night before, the stone carver puckered up and kissed the bee in the rough, manly style of a man who has done a goddamn day's work in his life. After cleaning up the honey she had ejaculated during the kiss, the bee shouted, "Wow, what a way to break a spell!" Sparkles and glittering lights floated around the bee, and out from the sparkles stepped a much hotter and younger woman than the stone carver's wife. But this young woman was wearing a dress with the same coloring and patterning she had when she was a bee, so you could obviously tell that it was the bee magically transformed. But looking into her eyes, the stone cutter did not recognize her and asked, "Who are you?" "I am the young hot princess of this land, set free by you from an evil magical spell, a spell about which the news has clearly not spread very far down the feudal chain. Anyway, you and I have to get married now." Inasmuch as the princess was young, noble, and hot, the stone-cutter left his wife without a second thought, and his former marriage was never spoken of by persons who wished to retain royal approval. The princess remained attractive in just the way that people who don't work for a living often do, and her new prince benefited from a culture in which male aging is found attractive. Their attractiveness and wealth led them to have a life which was generally happy and carefree, as it often does for the incredibly wealthy and powerful. And what of his first wife? Well, we've decided to pass the buck of all moral judgments on to her, even though the stone carver was the one who actually attempted to abandon the children. In a twist of cultural prejudice against women, the stone carver's first wife was forced to take accountability for her debts, even though she would not have been able to take charge of her winnings if she had been fortunate enough to have any. She lost their humble cottage, which she legally couldn't own in the first place, and she died ignominiously in debtor's prison, which was a thing at the time. Now we just call it the bail bond system. The end. That's the end. Let's zip through this and then go the frick to bed. Yeah. Sorry, my lovely wife. I'm saying sorry because she woke up and realized how late I was up and was like, "It's ridiculous that you're up." It is. I'm sorry. I'll do better. Anyway, this stupid show is starting to take a toll on me and my sleep and my everything, and it's making me sad. Let's end on a sad note. That's how comedy shows end, right? This program was made possible by the Igneous and Gertrudina Buttcomer Foundation and by viewers like you. Promotional considerations provided by Ralph Morgan's Extra Strangly Snakes, the Lonely Ass Librarians Guild, Grandpappy True Reels, Foul Smelling Balms and Gruels. Well, look who learned arc text in Pixlr. This friggin' guy is old. Copied and pasted some old ones. The one and only true God. This program was directed and performed by Rem Pemberton. Written by Braxton White Guy. He's not actually this gray. He uses gray and creams. We don't have time to argue it, Braxton. Gotta get to bed. Theme song by the Out of Tuners. The bits you didn't like were by Sober Me. This is me at Disneyland, the most miserable place on ever. I would tell you the story of why this is funny, but I won't. I don't have time. Actual funny bits by Slightly Less Than Sober Me. A presentation of Non-Sober Badger Productions. A subsidiary of the large, boring-sounding corporation with surprisingly questionable business practices, Lawful Asset Holdings Incorporated. A branch of the intentionally vague corporation whose purpose may never be known, the Blaine Group. And communism. Not dead yet, suckers. That is the end. That is all. I thank you if you made it all the way through this. If you didn't, I friggin' understand. It's long as crap. And anyway, sadness. I gotta go to bed. I made my wife sad. I made myself sad. That's comedy for you. Ha ha ha. Okay, bye.